Hi, my name is Rick English, and this video will show you how to draw a classic Roman pool using hand tools. Doesn't everyone use a computer? Why use hand tools? Let me answer those questions after I tell you just a little bit about myself. My present business is called English Pool Consulting. Attorneys hire me for pool construction cases, pool safety cases, pool maintenance cases, etc. The state of California hires me to analyze consumer complaints. I also do teaching for two organizations, National Swimming Pool Foundation and the Association of Pool and Spa Professionals. Those two organizations have recently merged to form the Pool and Hot Tub Alliance. I teach the Certified Pool Operator course, the Professional Pool and Spa Operator course, the Pool and Spa Construction course, the CBP Prep course, and the Pool Inspection Seminar. I also do close of escrow inspections. If you're buying a house with a pool and you want a nice detailed report, then I'm your man. I don't sell anything except my time. So I do designs, I do work in progress reviews, insurance claims, compliance recommendations, contested patents, and who knows what I'll see in the future. That's too much information about me. Why learn how to draw pools using hand tools? The high-end pools. Many educational opportunities focus today on the high-end pools. We all love to build them. A few builders are able to do nothing but high-end pools and spas. I too tend to work on high-end pools in the course of my current business. What about everybody else? Millions of folks out there want a nice, well-designed pool and spa that isn't over-the-top expensive. Many of these individuals and families have steady jobs, have equity in their homes, can afford to get loans, and can afford a nice installation. This market is somewhat recession-proof, so by not ignoring this market, my company could survive hard times, and over a 20-year period, we certainly had some hard times. Computer drawings, three-dimensional, multi-point viewpoint drawings are just awesome, just great. I love computers. My background before I got into pools was systems engineering. In fact, my master's degree is in systems engineering. At the time this video was made, however, a good laptop cost around $3,000. The internet was just starting to grow, and the programs that did exist to draw pools had a very steep learning curve. Your average salesperson really couldn't learn how to use them. This video was made in the early 1990s. It was used to train new salespeople. Please don't expect a glossy professional video. I tried cutting out some of the boring, repetitive parts. The beauty of designing by hand is that the customer is involved throughout the entire drawing process. Many customers later feel that they actually had designed the pool themselves or helped design the pool. Oftentimes the salesperson could price the job out right then and there, and sometimes, not always, close the deal right away. Building a hand-designed pool, the designer is conscious of how the pool will be built during every step of the design process. As a result, the pool can easily be reproduced during construction, giving the client the pool that they wanted, giving the builder better cost control. There's no mention of drain safety, diving board lawsuits, and many of the things we talk about today on pools. Those topics didn't have the attention back then. There was little internet. Cell phones were the exception rather than the rule. More to come. This is the second video in this series. There's one more to come. There's enter the time machine and maybe learn a trick or two. Now get ready. Sorry for the long introduction. So relax. See how some salespeople back then learned how to design and build pools. You may want to take a break while plodding through. Welcome to Padre Pool's swimming pool drawing lessons. Lesson number 2. Today we are going to learn how to draw a very classic shape called the Roman. Once you learn this shape, once you learn how to draw this shape accurately, you're going to be able to modify it and have some fun with it. So if we could turn down to the paper. We're going to draw a 16 by 32 Roman. And it's even more important in the Roman-shaped pool to draw the outside lines first. So the way I typically draw a Roman-shaped pool is I start off by drawing the rectangle that's going to contain the outside of the pool. So if we're going to draw a 16 by 32 Roman, I need to draw an 18 by 34 rectangle to get started. Okay, so we'll draw our first line at 34 foot, right down to here. And we're going to draw 18 foot across here. Following the lines on the paper. I keep emphasizing drawing these outside lines first because it ensures that when the pool gets built, it'll get built accurately. But this is truly a pool that's best drawn from the outside in, as I'm doing right now. The next step in the Roman pool is to find the middle. Now we drew the pool 16 foot wide, 18 from form to form, so the middle is going to be at 9 feet. So I will lightly draw the line down the middle of the pool. Now the Roman-shaped pool, we're going to draw a half circle and we're going to flare it in to the sides. Now the important thing now is we're going to draw this little radius that comes in here. Now I know from experience that the excavator can only bend his forms in about 1.5 foot radius, and still without the forms snapping and without them breaking. So if I plan it that way, then I know the excavator, using their standard materials, can lay out the pool. So I'm going to assume that the excavator is going to want to come in 1.5 feet on this end and 1.5 feet on this end. Since this is 18 foot across, I would subtract each of these from the 18 foot. I subtract 3 from the 18 foot then, and that gives me 15 foot for this half circle. Since the half circle is going to be a 15 foot diameter, the radius is going to be 7.5 feet. So, back to our old friend the compass. And I set my radius exactly on 7.5 feet. I'm also going to measure 7.5 feet down on each of the 4 corners. Must have. Oh, I see what I did. Going by my little. Okay. Mark it 7 there. Mark it 7 there. Now it gets easy. That becomes the center point of our circle, and since I've got it at 7.5 feet, it should touch right at the end of the pool. And I draw down to here, draw down to there. I do the same thing at this end. Draw down to here, draw down to here. Now this is the back of the form, not the back of the water line. The back of the water line, the radius is going to be 6.5 feet. So I've got to come in another foot and draw my 6.5 foot radius using the same center point. Now we could stop right here and draw the fairly classic Roman that looks like this. Now you'll notice I extended the half circle in 1 foot so that this line here is actually straight. It's not curved. And again, this means that the excavator can lay out a perfect half circle here and will still generate these corners. That's pretty much a classic Roman. And again, we can do the same thing here and the same thing here, and the classic Roman starts to take shape. If you want to save perimeter a little bit and give it a more distinctive look, and this look is just fine, you can stay on your 7.5 foot line, and let's erase what I just drew. And come in and draw a half circle on each of these points back to here. And again, going around all 4 corners, we get a different look. The classic Roman shape. Let's talk about adding a spa to the Roman pool. There's 2 ways we could do it. Well, a couple ways we could do it. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of different things you could do. We've seen circular spas, hexagonal spas on the end, on the sides. A spa in the middle of a Roman pool looks very elegant. We've seen spas at the end. We've seen spas that are incorporated in with the steps, and that makes a very attractive spa, coming in like this with a spa in here and your steps alongside the spa. Finishes off the pool nicely. It does take a lot of space, but you'll notice that it doesn't add a bit of perimeter to the pool. For purposes of the drawing, I'm going to get a little bit fancier, and I'm going to draw a spa off the side of the pool, and I'm going to put it right in the middle on this side. So now I go down my 34-foot length, and I know that 17 is going to be the exact middle. So I have my midpoint here. I'd like to draw my spa 8 foot wide. So I draw 8 foot from my water line, and I make my extra marks for the. Now I'll come out 4. So what I've drawn in now is a 4 by 8 spa, and I will use a small circle, if I can find the right tools. Again, remembering that 1.5 feet that we talked about before, I'm going to subtract 3 from 10, I get 7, so I'm going to draw a 3.5 foot circle. We'll see how this one comes out. Here's my center point. I'll draw a 3.5 foot circle, and I'll draw a 2.5 foot circle. And once again, I will come in here and draw my half circles. so. Now we have a spa that picks up the same lines as in the pool. Elegant looking, kind of a classic shape. Okay, let's draw the benches in the spa. We always come in 1.5 feet. So what I just do is I just draw my lines in 1.5 feet. I'm using the grid on the paper to give me my 1.5 foot mark. Here I'm going to use a circle. I just added 1.5 feet. And now I can use my center point to come around. Now, we don't have to follow the exact perimeter of the spa, but this is a fairly nice way to do steps, do the benches in the spa. And of course we'll give them a little bench to get in. On this end of the pool, we can put the steps right in the center. It's a fairly common way to do it. I'm going to put the steps, let's put them on this end. And since I have the grids on the paper, it's very easy for me to come in. Now last week I showed you how to draw the steps by centering the steps on the water line. Now I'm centering the steps on the form line. What that does is it makes the steps a little bit wider looking. And for this type of pool, it looks a little nicer. And like we did last week, we're going to give them last class, we're going to give them a bench off the side. And you can go around as far as you want with that bench. Let's see, I'm really not even trying to be too scientific right now. Just okay. I'm now going to ink the pool in using the same methods we talked about last time.
Yes. Okay.
The steps now are going to be 5/8. I just remember that because I know that I drew a 2.5 foot circle. So we'll have 5/8, 7/8 for the second step,
4, 0, 4, 8. Yes.
and 9/8 or 1 1/8 for the third step. Now remember, we measured our circle here at, I believe, to the outside. It will be a 15-foot diameter circle. 15-foot diameter is 1 7/8. So, okay. The nice part about all these little radiuses, I know that every one of them is 3/8. And I know that each one of these is 5/8. Okay, the inking process is now complete. We didn't bore you with all the details of each little brick, but now we can hit it with the eraser. And you notice we've kept all of our center points still, just like we did with the freeform pool. And we now have a fairly elegant Roman design. You'll also hear people call this shape, or variations of this shape, a Grecian, a Mediterranean, Spanish. You can make up your own name for it. We'll and see what we can do to put some deck on here. This is going to take a little imagination because our center points are right here, and geez, how are we going to make that look good? Well, first thing we want to do is add 3 foot to our radiuses there. If you remember, we drew a 7.5 foot radius, so I'm going to draw a 10.5 foot radius. There's 10, and I come down exactly to the 1/2 mark with my pencil. So that takes care of my 2 ends. That was the easy part. And I will add 3 foot to each side. That'll be fairly easy too. You can see that I alternate between measuring and counting and just using the lines. They're all valid tools. I alternate between having my scale on the right scale and having it on the wrong scale. What was this radius here? Well, the nice part is we can measure it. 3.5 foot. So we'll add 3 foot to that, and we'll make a 6.5 foot radius. Okay. Now, what can we do to make this look nice? I think what I'll do is I'll take this line, this circle, and I will see if I can't carry it out to there. I think we'll flare this in this way. I'll use my circle templates to round that off when I get to the inking stage and make them look like real pools. We on the Roman pool? Alright, this one should be easier. Now we have the deck drawn up. So, these are the 5 colors that we used. The only thing you might want to add to that, if you're drawing wood decks, you'd want a brown color. If you're doing plants, you might want a dark green crayon type pencil like this. But in a pinch, you can get by with 5 colors to do all your coloring work. Put it in a green background. If you're ever doing a drawing at home and you want to really impress your customers after it's all colored in, take hairspray and spray a very light, very light spray onto the drawing. Hairspray is just lacquer, and it gives the drawing a really nice shine and hardens it up so that the colors can't smear off or anything like that. Now we look at our customer and say, Mr. or Mrs. Jones, is this the pool of your dreams? When would you like to start digging? Geometric and Roman shaped pool. Add that to the 3-circle pool that we covered in last week's video, and you can draw 99% of the pools that are out there. If we do any more of these videos, we'll get into some more complex shapes. But if you can master these 3 pools, don't be afraid to combine them. Can you draw a 3-circle pool and make the end of it look like this? Absolutely. Can you draw this with 4 different squares, connecting them together using the 45-degree angles? Absolutely. I caution you to always draw the double lines, work from the outside line in as opposed to the inside line out, because the pools will come out looking right if you do it that way. They might not come out looking right if you do it any other way.